Viewer discretion is advised.
He get to carry on this greatness.
We having a boy.
He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He got to.
Jonathan Welch sat almost expressionless, hearing the absolutely devastating pain. The family of the people he murdered cannot escape because of his malicious actions to take the lives of multiple people.
Why? Just why do that to my big sister that I love so much?
You even have a soul, Jonathan? Do you? Do you know what you killed your own mother?
Gasoline poured between her legs. A match struck. Flames. Extension cord wrapped around her throat, tightening, releasing, tightening again, over and over for hours. Metal spatula heated on the stove until it glowed, pressed against her arms until the skin burned away. Their 1-year-old baby screaming in the next room through all of it. 4 hours. That's how long Zlayiah Frazier endured this. And she survived. She escaped. She pressed charges. She testified. The man who did this to her, her boyfriend of 6 years, the father of her child, was arrested and charged with torture. Then a magistrate said he could walk free for $10,000. He got out on a Friday wearing a GPS monitor. By Sunday night, Zlayiah was dead, beaten to death with blunt force trauma in a house that was burning while police tried to get inside. But she wasn't the only one killed that night. His mother, the woman who paid his bail, was dead too, and his stepfather. Is he even human at this point? And here's what nobody knows. He'd already murdered someone else before the torture even happened. A 24-year-old woman whose body was found in a field 2 days before he laid hands on Zlayiah. 4 murders, 4 names, and 1 bond decision that made it all possible. Zlayiah's sister started a GoFundMe after her death and wrote, "The justice system failed my sister by letting him out on bond after his first attempt to kill her. If that makes you angry, if you think domestic violence cases deserve better, hit the like button. Her 1-year-old son will grow up without his mother. The least we can do is make sure people remember her name." Roseville, Michigan. Quiet suburban neighborhood about 16 miles northeast of Detroit. Tree-lined streets where families settle down, where kids play outside, where neighbors know each other's names. Not the kind of place where you expect to find someone who's been tortured for 4 hours running barefoot and bleeding to a neighbor's house at 7 in the morning. Harper Woods is right next door. Same vibe. Working-class families, people going to work, coming home, living their lives. These aren't rough neighborhoods. They're just normal. The kind of places where nothing really happens. Until June and July 2022, when something did happen. When one man's violence shattered any illusion of safety and exposed just how badly the system can fail when domestic violence isn't taken seriously enough. But before we talk about what went wrong, hey, you need to know who these people were. Not just names in a headline, people. Zlayiah Frazier, 22 years old, one of 7 siblings. She went to Warren Lincoln High School and was on the homecoming court every single year she attended. That doesn't happen by accident. That's somebody people genuinely wanted to be around. Her brother Quazon said, "Zlayiah wanted the best for everybody. She was a true sweetheart." She was studying to become a nurse. And the reason why matters, her brother had fought cancer, her sister had cerebral palsy. She'd watched people she loved suffer, and she wanted to be the kind of person who helped when things got hard. She had a 1-year-old son. Her brother said, Zlayiah loved her son. She loved him so much. He was her world. And she'd been with Jonathan Welch for 6 years. 6 years. They weren't some casual couple who'd just met. They basically grew up together. Started dating young, had a child together, built a life. Their families knew each other. There was deep history there. Her sister Shayla later wrote, "She was just 22 years old with a bright future ahead of her, always spreading positivity to everyone around her, always full of laughter and joy. She was a great young mom." That's who Zlayiah was. Someone with dreams, someone with a future, someone who deserved better than what happened to her. Jonathan Lamont John Welch, 23 years old, born May 6, 1999. He lived with Zlayiah in Roseville, raised their son together. From the outside, it probably looked normal enough, but Welch was jealous, controlling, the kind of guy who needed to know who his girlfriend was texting, what she was saying, who she was talking to. The kind of guy who'd wake you up at 3 in the morning demanding your phone password. And here's the thing, Zlayiah's mother later said something heartbreaking.
My daughter Zlayiah Frazier lived to tell me the horrible things he did to her. He treated her like she was nothing but trash. 39 days later, my daughter Zlayiah was dead. I tried so hard to keep this monster away from my daughter for years, yet I failed.
I tried so hard to keep this monster away from my daughter for years. Years. Not months. Years. That means the family had been worried about him long before June 2022. They'd seen warning signs. They'd tried to protect her. But Zlayiah stayed. Maybe she thought he'd change. Maybe she thought she could protect her son by keeping the family together. Maybe she was scared of what would happen if she left. Whatever the reason, on June 2nd, 2022, everything exploded. 3 in the morning. Welch woke Zlayiah up by sexually assaulting her. He was upset, thought she was talking to someone else. He wanted her phone password. When she refused, he got angry. He went to the kitchen, got an extension cord, a metal spatula, and power drills. What happened next lasted 4 hours.
He held her hostage for hours. He beat her. And when he got tired, he rested and beat her some more. What he did, torture. He poured gasoline on her. He wanted to kill her.
My sister was fully naked when she ran out the house and ran to a nearby neighbor house to get help. How do you let somebody out that did that to somebody? How do you let them out?
He wrapped that extension cord around her neck and strangled her. But here's the sick part. He didn't finish. He'd apply pressure until she couldn't breathe, then release it. Let her gasp for air, then do it again. Choking her to the edge of consciousness, bringing her back, doing it again. He put the spatula on the stove, heated it until it was red hot, then pressed it against her arms and legs. He poured gasoline between her legs and set it on fire. He tried to sexually assault her with a large pole. He beat her with his belt. He threatened her with power drills. And their 1-year-old son was in the next room the entire time, crying. Even while being tortured, Zlayiah kept getting up to check on the baby. It's being a mother while fighting for her life. Welch told her, "If you don't tell me, this is going to continue all night." 4 hours of this. Think about that. 4 hours, not 4 minutes. 4 hours of methodical, prolonged suffering. At some point during the attack, Welch went into the kitchen. That's when Zlayiah made her move. She ran out the front door, barefoot, burned, bleeding. She made it to a neighbor's house. Welch followed her onto the porch and tried to drag her back inside. The neighbors pulled her in, wrapped her in a blanket, called 911. Welch came back and kicked in their door before speeding off in his car. Zlayiah survived. Police arrested Welch later that same day around 11:24 a.m. 10 days later, June 12, 2022, the charges came down. Torture, home invasion, third-degree criminal sexual conduct. Assault with intent to commit sexual penetration. Assault with intent to do great bodily harm. 3 counts of felonious assault. Torture is one of the most serious charges in Michigan law. It's reserved for the worst cases, where someone intentionally inflicts severe physical pain over hours. This wasn't a moment of rage. This was prolonged, methodical suffering. Magistrate Don White set bond at $100,000 with 10% cash surety. That meant Welch could walk free for $10,000. Media outlets reached out to Magistrate Don White for comment after the murders. She never responded.
How do you commit a crime like sexual assault and torture and they let you out with $10,000? $10,000 is easy to come up with. It's people that steal something from a store that would get more than $10,000. You tortured somebody, you sexual assaulted somebody, and you got out with paying $10,000.
He was given a chance with bond at that time and took his freedom as an opportunity to finish the job and kill victim Frazier.
Now here's what most people don't know. Prosecutors were planning to argue for higher bond at Welch's preliminary examination scheduled for August 4th. They wanted to wait for that hearing to present all the evidence and push for him to be held without bond. But that hearing never happened. On July 8th, 2022, a Friday, Welch's mother, Flossie Bray, posted the $10,000 bail bond. Her son walked out of Wayne County Jail wearing a GPS tether on his ankle. He was ordered to live with her in Harper Woods and have no contact with Zlayiah. 2 days later, on Sunday, Zlayiah was dead. And so was Flossie. The woman who bailed him out became one of his victims. If cases where judicial decisions have fatal consequences matter to you, subscribe to this channel. These aren't just stories. They're warnings about what happens when we don't take domestic violence seriously enough. Hit subscribe. Sunday evening, July 10th, 2022, around 8:10 p.m., Harper Woods police got a 911 call from someone inside Flossie Bray's home on Kenosha Street. The caller said someone was holding her hostage, then screaming. Then the line went dead. When officers arrived, they found Welch's 1-year-old son crying in the backyard. They grabbed the child and rushed him to a hospital. Then gunshots rang out from inside the house.
Caller stated that someone there is holding her hostage. She was trying to explain the situation, and then a lot of screaming started, and the phone disconnected.
A woman held hostage, and we are told that young man was on a stabbing spree. The young man's mother making it out of the home and into Ruth Tabone's home right across the street.
I told her, I was like, what happened? She says, I was stabbed. I'm like, what? So then she started to collapse, so I helped her down. And I had to keep her up because at that point, I see the knife is still on her back.
Shots were being fired at police from inside the home.
4 shots fired.
The home was then set on fire. Neighbors knew the young man had a baby and watched as he dropped that baby out of a window.
Like, he leaned out the window and dropped the baby on the grass.
Because he was going back in to do stuff?
And the baby was naked while the house was on fire. This all was happening while the house was on fire.
Welch was barricaded inside, firing at police. Smoke started pouring from the windows. He'd started a fire. During the chaos, Flossie Bray, Welch's mother, the woman who'd posted his bail just 2 days earlier, managed to escape. She ran to a neighbor's house. The neighbor, Ruth Tabone, said, I said, who stabbed you? She said, my son. He's stabbing everyone in the house. Flossie had been stabbed multiple times in the back with a butcher knife. The standoff lasted 7 hours. Welch refused to come out. The house burned. Finally, around 3 a.m, he surrendered. When police got inside, they found Zlayiah Frazier, 22 years old, and Robert Bray Jr., 70 years old, Welch's stepfather, both dead from blunt force trauma. Flossie Bray died 6 days later from her stab wounds on July 16th. 3 people murdered, while Welch wore a GPS tether, while he was under a no-contact order, 48 hours after walking out of jail. Judge Kenneth King called it the court's worst nightmare, the worst possible scenario that could happen. The witness has been killed after the defendant was placed on bond. Zlayiah's sister, Brianna, said, they let him out of jail. He killed my sister. He killed my sister. But the death toll didn't start on July 10th. On June 4th, 2022, 2 days before Zlayiah's attack, police found the body of 24-year-old Natayla Morse in a field on Detroit's east side. She'd been beaten to death with blunt force trauma. Her car was stolen and set on fire. For 9 months, the case went cold. Nobody was charged. Then in March 2023, investigators connected Jonathan Welch to her murder.
Last time I saw her, I hugged her and told her I love her, and my kids was about to graduate, so she was talking about, oh, I'm gonna come down to the graduation. Yeah, she died the day before her sisters graduated. They had to go across stage the next day knowing their sister died. I told them, do it for your sister. So they went across stage for her. They did it for her.
Her body was found in a field on the city's east side in June of last year and was not positively identified until later.
I wonder why. You're sick. I hope you rise.
So here's the actual timeline. Zlayiah Morse was murdered on June 4th. Her body was found 2 days later in a field on June 6th. Then on June 12th, Welch tortured Zlayiah for 4 hours. He got arrested that same day and charged with torture. On July 8th, his mother posted $10,000 and he walked free. 2 days after that, on July 10th, he killed Zlayiah, Robert, and Flossie. 4 murders, 4 people. 1 happened before anyone even knew Jonathan Welch was dangerous. 3 happened after a magistrate decided he wasn't dangerous enough to keep locked up. This is why domestic violence education matters. This is why we can't treat these cases lightly. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What needs to change to prevent this from happening again? Because silence doesn't save lives. In November 2023, Jonathan Welch pleaded guilty to 4 counts of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 45 to 70 years in prison for 3 counts and 20 to 40 years for the 4th, all running concurrently. He'd already been sentenced the previous summer to up to 30 years for home invasion and torture from the June attack on Zlayiah. At sentencing, Zlayiah's mother, Trina Harris, said, "You took what was so precious to me. She meant everything to me. Well, my daughter will never get to hold her son and watch him grow up. I believe Jonathan is truly a monster." She also said, "I tried so hard to keep this monster away from my daughter for years, yet I failed." But she didn't fail. The system did. If this story made you angry, if you think more people need to understand how bond decisions can have body counts, share this video. Send it to someone. Zlayiah's name deserves to be more than a statistic.
It hurts because we let him in. And he took something from us that he can't give back. I worry about his soul.
Zlayiah Frazier was 22 years old. Nearly 100 family members and friends gathered at her memorial wearing purple, her favorite color. She survived 4 hours of torture. She escaped. She reported it. She did everything right. And the system killed her anyway. Zlayiah Morse was 24. Robert Bray Jr. was 70. Flossie Bray was 42. None of them had to die. This wasn't just a failure. It was a preventable massacre. Remember their names. Remember what happens when we don't take domestic violence seriously enough. I'll see you in the next one and stay safe out there. You're special and you matter.